Hello. Hi everyone. Welcome to the Ginesys GST Changes webinar, part 2. In this webinar, we are going to cover a lot of ground, and thank you all for taking the time out to attend this. Thank you for being patient with us through this journey of getting ready for Ginesys. And if you have attended any of our conferences in Delhi or Bangalore or Calcutta, you know that it's a very complex subject with many sets, both in B2B and in relation to B2C as well. So in this session, we are covering the operational issues as to how to operationalize the collection of information, and we are not going to cover the strategic aspects of GST compliance. So I hope that should be very useful. And with that, I hand over the mic to my colleague, Mr. Siddharth, who's from the product team. Thank you.
Thanks, Rohit, for giving a brief introduction. Hello, everyone. This is Siddharth Bhojnagarwala from product team. We shall be discussing today on the goods and service tax incorporation in Ginesys. So now let's start with the master's configuration. Here in the master's configuration, we shall be discussing on the ledgers and subledgers creation. Then we shall move to GST identification number registration and tagging with the sites and registering the counterparty GSTN information. Then we shall move to the inventory impact, and at the last in this master's configuration segment, we shall discuss on the document series. So let's start with the GST ledgers. Here in GST, we will have to create 8 ledgers, that is 4 input ledgers and 4 output ledgers component wise. Ideally, these 8 ledgers should be under liability group and should be subledger and site applicable. The sample ledgers are IGST input ledger and IGST output ledgers. Similarly, CGST, SGST and CES input output ledgers needs to be defined. After defining the ledgers, we'll have to create subledgers applicable for these ledgers. These subledgers should be state-wise. For each state, for each presence in each state, you'll have to create 8 subledgers, 4 input subledgers and 4 output subledgers. See, the sample is provided as WB IGST input subledger and WB IGST output subledger. Similarly, for other components as well, we'll have to define the same. Now, we will discuss on GST identification number. I like definitely for every state, you must have received unique GSTIN number. I mean, as per the presence of your stores or branches in each state, you must have received the GSTIN number. You'll have to create that in the system first and then tag it to the own stores or warehouses. Post doing this, you'll have to gather and populate party GST registration details as well. So now let's see how will we first create GST identification number and tag it to the organization sites. This is Ginesys Web. I'm logging into it. Here in admin, under organization module, you must have, if you have updated this patch, you must be finding GST identification number menu. On selecting the menu, you will get the list of already registered GSTN number. I have already created a few, so I'll just reload it for our demo purpose. Now see here, first I need to provide the GSTN number. On providing, automatically populate the state, and you'll have to provide the registration date as well. Once done, you'll have to provide the input and output ledger component wise, as I've already conveyed it to you, that you'll have to create input and output ledger component wise and subledger state wise. So I have already configured the GSTN master here. I can see. Now after creation, I had to tag it to the organization side. So I'm moving to Ginesys desktop. Here in admin organization unit, I'll populate the organization sites. Here you can see I've already tagged the identification. Here you can easily tag by using our LOV, GSTN LOV. Okay, once this is done, you'll have to tag the GSTN to managed owned stores as well. So I'm going to retail management, setup, site. Here for owned store, you can see a provision has been provided to specify GST identification number. I can select the same here. Now this was the part for our owned stores and owned branches. You will also have to capture the GSTN information of counterparty as well. Now counterparty means your vendors and customers. Now let's see how we can tag the same in vendors. Going to procurement, setup and vendor master. I am opening Siddharth supplier vendor. Here in the finance tab, you can see we have provided the option for GST identification number input. Here you'll have to provide the GSTN number in the exact format as received, and you'll have to type this manually, or you can even use our import Excel utility for updating the same. Apart from GST identification number and date, we have also provided a GST category where you can select the status of the registration status of the party, be it normal, composite, exempt or unregistered. Okay, post doing this in vendor master, we'll have to provide these information in customer master as well. I am opening a customer. Here you can see we have only provided GST category, but we haven't provided you with the provisions for GST identification number. And now you must be wondering that why we haven't provided here. Let's take an example, like if you are having presence in two different states, like in Bengal and in let's say Maharashtra, you will be having two different GSTN number. Now you will be the customer to some other party. So if he captures your this store wise or branch wise information in your system, then definitely they'll have to provide state wise different GSTN number. That means they'll have to provide GSTN number at site level, because one customer can have presence in multiple states and multiple states will have multiple GSTN number. So you'll have to provide it at site level. Okay, now going to unmanaged site. Here you can see for unmanaged site we have provided option for manual input of GSTN number and date. Again, we have provided you with the provision for updating these information via Excel input facility. You can use that to bulk update your master's information with respect to GSTN. Okay. Now this is done. Once this GSTIN configuration is done, we will be moving to inventory masters. In inventory masters, we have divided the flow in 1, 2, 3 setup. First, you'll have to define GST rates, but be rest assured, we have already released these rates, 5 slabs, 0%, 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28%. With the patch itself, so you will find it auto created when you update. Then you'll have to create HSN and tag GST rates to it. You can find these HSN via government websites, or you can even consult your tax consultants. Then you'll have to tag these HSN SSC codes to the products and services. Now let's see how this is done one by one in the software. Moving to inventory, in product definition, we have provided GST rates. See, as I already communicated to you, we have created 5 different rates as required. Now, for any new rate introduction, you can create new rates, or for example, if you are dealing with Coca-Cola or aerated drinks, you can create a new rate here, like here it will be 28% IGST, 14% CGST, 14% SGST, but cess is 12%. So in total GST is 40%. So you can create GST rate master like this here. Once done, you'll have to create HSN codes. Here you'll have to provide HSN code. Now here I'd like to convey to you that 4-digit HSN code is mandatory, but definitely you can store up to 6 or 8-digit HSN code as specified. But 4-digit is mandatory. Then you'll have to specify whether this HSN code is applicable for goods or services. Provide description if any, and effective date wise you'll have to provide GST rate for this HSN. Now there's a slab concept, like suppose if I add a row, here I can specify this HSN is slab applicable and define slabs for the same. Here I'll have to specify whether this HSN is GST will be charged on net price or on RSP. I'll give you the explanation for just after this HSN configuration. It will be further clear to you. And specify the rate for slab starting for 0. Then you can add row and specify different slabs, like from 500.01 paise you will be percent. Like this you can create multi slabs. Once done, you can save this HSN SSC master and then tag it to items and services. First I'll show you the services part. Here in services you can see there is a provision for tagging SSC code and ITC eligibility, whether this service is eligible for input credit or not. ITC stands for input tax credit eligibility. Once done, you can save the service, and when you take the service into the invoice, automatically system will start calculating the GST rates. I'll show you how it is done. Now, moving to the Ginesys desktop for tagging the HSN codes to items. First, I'll show you that how can you tag it to the item level. Let's suppose I'm selecting an item. Here in the others tab, you can see HSN code has been provided. You can manually specify here. You can use our Excel import utility to update bulk update item master, or even we have provided you an option to input the HSN code in the product hierarchy level. That is at the department level as well. You can specify here so that for any new item getting created, you can populate this HSN automatically to the item under this department. But you can even change at the item levels as well. Also, we have provided you an option to bulk update HSN codes. See, in this migration phase or in this transition phase, you must be wondering that if you are having lots of items in your database, how will you update it via Excel import as well? So we have provided you that you specify the HSN at the department level and use this utility to update only non-GST goods or all goods under that department. You can select the HSN, you can select the update basis, and update those items using this update button. Once done, it will update the items at head office level, and also it will send instruction at store level as well to update the masters. And this won't even affect your sync process, so you can definitely use this option. Now, I'll get back to the examples which I was discussing about. As per the current GST rules and laws, slabs are applicable on two categories, basically footwear and apparels. In footwear, amount from zero, rather it is applicable like all the products under 500, all the products having RSP under 500 shall be charged as 5%, and all the products above 500 as RSP will be charged at 18%. So you'll have to define the slab like this: amount from 0 as 5%, and amount from 500.01 it will charge as GST 18%. Remember, the slab basis is RSP. It is not transaction value. It is RSP for footwear. Now moving to apparels, all the products under 1000 rupees will be charged at 5% as per the. So you will have to configure this apparel segment as slab basis is equal to net price, with a condition that amount from 0 will be charged at 5% and amount from 1000.01 paisa will be charged at 12%. This net price means transaction value per piece. Okay, I'll show you one example. It will further clear you. Now let's first have a look for the calculation example of footwear. See, if the RSP is 800, and if we discuss about wholesale, the basic, if I am taking only one quantity, the basic value comes to 800, and if 50% discount is applied, then 400 will be the gross amount. On this 400, the tax percentage will be charged at 18% and not 5%, since the tax percent eligibility is as per RSP. So 18% will be charged since RSP is 800. And so accordingly 72%, 72 rupees will be calculated and total will be 472. This was exclusive billing, that is wholesale billing. Now coming to retail billing, for 800, if I give a discount of 10%, 720 will be the gross amount, like 80% will 80 rupees will be the discount amount. And on that 18% will be charged on inclusive basis. That is, this 720 will be having 10% GST, 18% GST included in the value. So you'll have to back calculate, and approximately 109.83 value is getting populated. So the net amount is basically the same as gross amount since tax is in inclusive mode. So here I like to just point out, even the transaction value goes down the slab, even then if the RSP is greater than is the RSP picked up as per the RSP. Just keep this in mind. Okay, now coming to calculation example of apparels. If suppose the RSP value is 1200, the promote in case of exclusive billing, the promote is discount percentage is 50%, so the value comes to 600 rupees. Now since this 600 is below 1000, so I'll have to charge 5% GST on this, because as per the government it is sale value per piece. So 600 is less than 1000, 5% will be charged. Accordingly 30 rupees will be the tax amount and net amount will be 630. In case of inclusive billing, let's suppose 1200 was the basic value, 10% was given as discount, total comes to 1080 after discount. Now, as per 1080, 12% becomes the GST value, GST percentage. Now on back calculating GST percent, the transaction value gets down below 1000, but still 12% GST will be charged. So the tax amount will be 115.71 and the net amount will be same since it is charged in inclusive mode. I hope this whole calculation part is clear to you all. Now I'm moving ahead to document series. As per the government regulations, your document numbering should be unique GST and wise. Now, what do I mean by document series? This series should be unique for all the outward documents, that is outward supply documents like sales invoice, transfer out, purchase return, goods return from stores. Here I like to inform you that purchase return is a outward supply for you. So you need to consider purchase return, that wherever there is a movement of goods, that is, if the goods are coming into your warehouse, then it is an inward supply. If goods are moving outward from your warehouse, it is an outward supply. There is no concept of return in GST, right? So you'll have to understand this. It's inward supply and outward supply. There is no purchase or sale or purchase return or sales return, right? And government has provided a 16 character limit in the document series. So we have specified a recommended numbering sequence for you. For that, you should have components like site information, which should be around 3 characters. Then document initial, that is whether it's a sales invoice or say transfer out or purchase return. You can specify like SI for sales invoice. Then financial year, that is 17 to 18. It will utilize 5 characters, and then the numbering sequence. You can keep it at 5. Okay. So now moving to B2B purchase process. For B2B purchase process, what things we need to do? First, we'll have to provide vendor GST and registration details, which I have already explained you earlier. Then you'll have to specify the pricing and margin rules. If you haven't renegotiated any of terms with your vendor, then you need not do the same, because system will automatically calculate GST as required. Then we'll come to charge and term configuration and invoicing. So let's start with the charge and term configuration, because the above 2 points are already clear. I am here in Ginesys web. Here in procurement tab, we can see a charges menu has been provided. Here you can see we have already all the charges, GST charges as required. Please park the reverse GST charges here. I'll get back to that. But all the 4 components are already created. So basically, you'll be having 4 different charges automatically created when you update the patch. These 4 charges are basically the GST component wise charges, which you'll have to show in the bill, show in the sales bill or transfer out or whatever. So let's get started with the term creation. These 4 charges are system defined. You don't have to create new charges, and you won't be allowed to create any new charges. In term master, see, we have already published few sample terms. If you don't have any line charges, then you can definitely use these sample terms, or else you can create new terms. Now, how can you create a new term? I'll show you. Let's suppose I am creating discount with GST. Just give me a moment. See, these I'll like to say you here that charges needs to be applied at line level only. In GST, there is no concept for header level charges. All the charges needs to be applied before applying GST. That is, GST will be applicable on all the line level, all the line level discounts or additional charges you incur in a transaction. Now let's see how can we create a term. First, I'll select a discount charge. Then I'll provide the CGST charge. Its formula should be B plus 1, that is basic plus discount. On that, I should charge the CGST. And after that, I should charge SGST, because CGST and SGST goes hand by hand. For local, you'll have to charge CGST, SGST, and for interstate transactions, you'll have to charge IGST. And cess is applicable both for local as well as interstate transactions. So wherever, if you are dealing with products which are having cess, you'll have to add cess charge as well. Now here you see we have already provided the formula, but the formula is same for CGST and SGST. It isn't like you will have to charge SGST on CGST. The values for the taxable value for CGST, SGST cess all are same. That is basic plus 1, that is discount. So remember this, the formula for all the GST charges should be same. You can save and this term gets created. Now let's do a goods received transaction where I'll show you how it is getting calculated. I'm selecting the supplier. Then I'll select the stock point and I'll populate few items. Remember, I have already selected HSN and these items. Now going into charge details, see, I am doing a interstate transaction with this supplier. Here you can see the trade group is interstate. So IGST term gets automatically populated since I have already tagged this into the supplier. On clicking calculate, the IGST gets calculated automatically. Now on saving the same, my GRC gets generated. Now using our auto PI creation utility, I am going to create a purchase invoice. See, PI number 8 is generated successfully. Here you can see the goods received is auto tagged, and in the charge details, these ledgers gets populated automatically. Now you must be thinking how these ledgers got populated. In this site Todi WB, that is Todi West Bengal, I have already tagged the GSTIN, and since this is a inward transaction, my input ledgers will get impacted. So automatically system has selected input IGST ledger and subledger with respect to this connected site. You cannot change these ledgers, so please ensure that ledgers are properly configured in GST and master. Now post doing a purchase invoice, I can return it as well. Now return is a outward supply. Remember that for any goods movement, it is a supply, and so you'll have to create a reverse document or outward document. So I'll be selecting the supplier, going into item details, selecting those items again. See again. GRT creation, system is asking me for creating auto purchase return debit note. I'm inputting the reference number for the same, and see purchase return debit note number 3 gets created automatically. Here you can see the charge details. Here output ledger is populated as it's an outward supply. So this is the whole flow of purchase of goods. Now before going into the reverse part, I'll show you the purchase service as well. I am going. Hello, sorry, there was some technical glitch. I'll show you the service invoice flow again. Going into service invoice module, I am selecting the supplier. Sorry. Here in service selection, I am selecting a service and providing 1000 as the service amount. See here we have provided ITC eligibility, which you have already selected in the service. Here the ITC eligibility is none. So I won't be getting any input for this service. So the input ledger would get impacted. I'll show you how. Now I'm selecting the second service. Here input is applicable, so input ledger will get populated for this service. See, for one service, advertisement expenses ledger is getting impacted, but for the other one, input is being provided. I'll show you the service-wise breakup. Here you can see for this service, where ITC eligibility is none, ledger is getting populated as advertisement expenses. That is, I'm not getting the input credit for this service. And for service 2, where input is eligible, I am getting the input credit impacted, input ledger impacted. So now I like to convey you here that only a few, that is like rent a cab or services like those, are excluded from getting input credit. So I'll like you to refer to the rules and law for the proper details on which services you'll be getting the input credit. Okay. Now this was the normal purchase flow, that is purchase flow from a supplier who is registered. Now what if we do a purchase from unregistered party? Here I like to give you the I'll first like to explain you the difference between doing a purchase transaction from registered party and unregistered party. Since the registered party is already having the GSTIN registration details and he's registered under GST, he will be charging you GST and paying the tax amount to the government on your behalf. But in case of unregistered party, since the unregistered party is not registered under GST, they won't be charging you any GST, but the government wants you to pay GST on their behalf, and you will get the input credit for the same. I'll explain you with the example. Now let's suppose I am doing a purchase transaction of value 10,000 rupees, on which 5% GST is being charged. That is, the total purchase value gets 10,500. Now when I do this transaction from a registered party, I'll pay 10,500 to the supplier, and supplier on my behalf pay 500 to the government. But in case of unregistered party, supplier is raising the invoice of 10,000 rupees. So I'll have to pay 10,000 rupees to the supplier, but on his behalf, I will be paying 500 to the government. Now let's see how this is done in the software. Going back to GRC, I am selecting a unregistered party. Now let's see the breakup. See, SGST and CGST is charged as 250 totaling to 500 rupees, the example which I gave you. This is the normal charge, but charging this would have resulted in the invoice value to be 10,500. But you'll have to pay to the government as well, right? You won't only get the credit, but you'll have to pay the output liability to the government. So we are providing reverse charge as well, where automatically system will impact the output ledgers and match the invoice value as per the supplier's invoice value. See here, so the 10,000 invoice value which I have received from the supplier is being uh, credited to the supplier. So I am saving this invoice, saving this GRC. Now it will automatically ask me to create an invoice. See, on creating the invoice, now I am showing you the charge details. Here you can see input ledgers are being impacted just as it was done in normal registered party purchase, but output ledgers are getting impacted as well for the reverse charge. So your output liability gets impacted as well, gets increased as well, whereas you are getting input as well. So this was the flow from purchase from unregistered party. Similarly, in purchase service as well, if you do any such unregistered party service, you avail such unregistered parties service, you'll have to do a purchase service invoice in reverse flow. Now coming into B2B sales process. Similar to procurement flow, we'll have to first define customers GST registration details. Then we'll have to set the pricing. Again, if there is no renegotiation which has taken place, so you need not provide any kind of pricing, additional pricing into the system. Then you'll have to configure the charge and terms and then move to invoicing. Now let's see the S&D charges and term configuration. Moving into S&D, in setup, there is a charge menu. In this charge menu, you can see we have already populated these GST charges similar to purchase. You need not create any charge master. Then you need to move to term. In terms as well, we have created few terms for you, reference purpose. Now you can use these terms or create new terms as required, similar to purchase. Now going into the Ginesys desktop, I am doing a delivery challan so that I can prepare a sales invoice for the same. I am selecting the site to which I will be dispatching the goods. I am selecting few items. See, the delivery challan gets created automatically. In outright sales invoice, I am selecting the site again. Now moving into delivery challan window, I am selecting that delivery challan. Today is 23rd. I am selecting this delivery challan. Now in charge detail, you can see automatically for local CGST, SGST charge gets populated because I have already selected this term in site level. So this is getting populated automatically. You can click on calculate and see output CGST and SGST ledgers are getting populated. Okay. Here I like to inform you that for interstate, automatically IGST term will get populated and you can calculate. But for existing terms, I like to inform you that please don't modify the existing terms. Reason being, during this transaction period, you will be facing some operational issues then, because you will have to create invoices during this period. So if you will be having new terms, you can definitely select the terms here, the CGST and the different terms here, so that for doing any GST transaction, you can change the term and do the GST transaction. But please keep the existing terms untouched. Okay, the sales invoice got created. Now I am going to do a return transaction. I'm selecting the site. Now going to select the items. Items populated. Now I'll go to charge details and calculate the charge terms. Okay, see here, input CGST and input SGST gets populated because sales return is an inward flow and goods are moving into the warehouse, so it is a inward transaction. So input ledger will get impacted. So here we saw that how sales outright wholesale is being done. Now I am moving to the transfer flow. Okay, before getting into the transfer flow, I like you to see how will we print the sales invoice. See, we have provided a sample report for you where we are specifying the receiving sites or the sending sites GSTIN, then the receiving sites GSTIN. We have provided the HSN code against each item, and then we are even providing the HSN summary for the taxable value and respective CGST, SGST or IGST charges. Okay, now moving into the stock transfer process, there's a difference in our existing stock transfer process. That is, previously, irrespective of wherever I transfer my goods, no GST was applicable. But now, if we are doing a transaction within same state, there won't be an issue. But if we do a transaction outside the state, IGST will be applicable. But you won't have to create any kind of charges or terms for that. System will automatically include IGST charges for you. Now let's see how this is being done. I am creating a delivery challan. Okay, now this delivery challan gets created. Now moving to transfer out menu, where I will be selecting this delivery challan to do the transfer, to complete the transfer. I am selecting the delivery challan. Okay, now here you can see previously there was no value block here, but we have introduced the value block for transfers as well, since charges IGST will be applicable on certain transfers. Here you will have to you can see the charges here as applied. 12% on 990 it is applied, and 118.80 gets calculated, and automatically output IGST ledger gets impacted. Post transfer out creation, moving into transfer in against transfer out. Oh, sorry, I'll have to change the site first to the receiving site. Now in transfer in against transfer out, I'm selecting the site from which I will be receiving goods. And see, today's document is this number 4. I'm selecting that and adding the packets here. See, automatically the tax amount gets reversed automatically. So the output ledger which got impacted in the transfer out, in transfer in, input ledger will get impacted. Here there's a difference in the stock, the transit difference posting concept. I'll be explaining you here. See, previously what we used to do is was like we used to post the difference amount in the short excess account, that is the transit difference account. But post this patch update, we won't be doing the same. What will we do is the receive amount will be the 8,000, like I'll give you the example here. The send amount being value of goods, on that we are calculating 500 as the tax amount. That is as per the send quantity or as per the send amount. We are not considering what you have received, because if you don't, if we do as per the receive amount, your matching won't be done. Now, what is this matching concept? Matching is basically every invoice, every B2B invoice needs to be uploaded in the government portal. Now, the sender uploads the document which with details of the goods and the taxes being charged, and on the receiving end, once received, will upload his document, and both will be matched to and which will allow you to get the input credit at the receiving end. But if it doesn't match, uh, uh, there's a short or there's an excess, so there's a scenario where you'll have to do certain manual adjustments. So what we have done is we have provided you with an option that we will be reversing exactly what you have charged in output. That is, if you have charged 500 in output, we will be reversing it 500 as input. Now, regarding the short excess part, you'll have to pass a journal to do the accounting adjustments. You can definitely see the inventory impact will remain as it is. That is, two quantity will be shown as short, but the accounting entry will have to do journal. Like for example, in the transfer out ledger posting, you can see when I do a transfer out, transit account gets debited with 10,500 and transfer out will get credited as 10,000. IGST output will get credited as 500. Now, when you do a transfer in ledger, exactly the reverse posting will take place, wherein the transfer in account will get debited as 10,000, IGST input will get debited as 10,000, and transit account will get credited as 10,500. Now, moving into B2C process. In B2C, there is no visual impact, but you can see we have provided you with a sample report, which will sample POS bill printout, which will be which we have already released. Here you can see we have specified the GSTIN number with the HSN code details at line level and the HSN summary, the GST summary here. with the respectable amount and CGST, SGST and cess amount. So this was the whole process of B2B purchase, B2B sales, and transfer, and B2C sale. Here I like to inform you few points apart from this, that all the pending purchase orders and sales orders will have to be regenerated after GST terms, because the terms flows from masters, and you will have to create the purchase orders and sales orders. Again, you will be having the Excel import facility for the same, which you can utilize. Now we will be taking a 5 minutes break, and then we'll start with the question and answer session. So please note down your questions and post it in the question and answers block. We will answer it shortly. Thank you.
Hello everybody, this is Harsh. So you can put forward like your questions. So we would be taking them one to one. And along with me, Mr. Prashant is also there. So who will be answering the questions along with me. So the first question is that I have booked a service invoice with all GST charges to purchase service module. Now I want to book a return service entry, same like PI and PRN. How can I book this for services?
See this as per new GST rules that they have published. There is a concept of modifying or amending the service, the outward supply by the sender itself. So in case if any outward supply, there is any rate difference or there is any shortage, in such case, the vendor, there are two options. Either the vendor will amend the existing invoice itself and send it to you, or else the vendor will send a credit note. Against that, you have to create a debit note, but you have to put the credit note number of the vendor itself. So what we have planned, that for any return of goods, then so we will use the existing module itself, and we will treat as an outward supply and an inward supply. But for any kind of differences in invoice which we get from our vendors, we are coming up with a new module of creating debit note and credit note, which will have reference of the supplier invoice itself. And in that, we will be having two provisions, whereby while receiving the material or services, you can automatically create a debit note against that particular invoice. Since the rules came very late, so we have not released in the current version, but definitely going forward, we are trying that we release this as soon as possible. Till the time, what we would request you that if you receive any invoice, and after that any service invoice, and after that if there is any changes, so then you request your vendor itself to give an amended service invoice and book that. So that will solve in the intermediate period till we come out with a proper module of handling this kind of tricky situation.
The other question is that I have same vendor in 2 states, and I am buying goods through one vendor from 2 states, and now I want to manage through a single account. So with the current provision, as of now, if from the same vendor is registered in 2 states, so you have to create 2 vendors. But going forward, we will have a vendor site concept similar to like what we have in Customer Master. So that will help you to create one vendor with multiple sites. So the next question is, I have B2B transaction. So invoice will be generated on what price? MRP price or wholesale price? See, this can be either like based upon your price list setting, which can be your wholesale or wholesale plus some kind of a markup, or your MRP. So from GST perspective, it is nothing to do with like what will be your transaction price.
So whatever price list you define as per your master, GST would be applicable accordingly on the transaction price.
The next question is, some HSN code in our business has 3 GST rates. So how do we reflect the same in Ginesys? Also, is there any provision to rectify wrongly tagged HSN codes?
If the same HSN is having 3 GST rates, then what we suggest is that if it is in a 4-digit, normally we suggest that you create a 4-digit SHN code, but in case in this 4-digit SHN code itself, there are 3 rates, then you should move to 8-digit SHN code. Once you move from 4-digit to 8-digit, then you can define at 8-digit level different GST rates.
And this would be mapped at the product level, not at the department level.
So to sum up, I mean, what you should do, you should apply 4-digit SSN codes at department level, which will get flow at your item level. And then if you find there is some exceptions, then you should create those exception HSN and map those at item level. So this will make the whole process easier. Otherwise, if you try to create every HSN at 8-digit, then it will create innumerous HSN codes, which you have to tag at item level. So we would suggest you that you create HSN at 4-digit, apply that, and all exception you handle through 8-digit HSN codes. There is another question: how the shortage of 2 piece of rupees 2,000 will be treated? So I believe that this is regarding to any receive of goods by way of purchase. So currently what you have to do, currently we have to create a debit note, a purchase return debit note. Manually you have to receive in full, and then you have to create a return document and show it in GST. But going forward, as I said, we will be having a module in purchase invoice itself, whereby any shortage you keep, automatically it will create a debit note, and that debit note will be settled against any credit note that is issued from your supplier. So by that it will get handled. Suppose another question is from Ravi.
Suppose a supplier sends item 100 in quantity, and after receiving that, the doing stock audit, quantity found is suppose 90. Then what will happen in case, since there is difference of supplied and received quantity?
So this is the same question that I answered before. So if there is any difference, or by case of shortage, right, while receiving goods, so right now what you have to do, you have to receive the goods in full and then create a return debit note, right? Right now in the software you have to do it manually, so you have to receive it full and create a debit note separately. But going forward, we will be having an automated system by way the moment you put shortage in invoice itself in receiving, it will create an automatic debit note. Next question is Mr. Shankar.
Like, how do we find the HSN code for various product of Apparel? So as Siddharth had mentioned that the codes are already available on various government and private portals also. In case they find any challenge, they can contact to our support also, and wherein they can find the 4-digit HSN code which can be provided by our team.
So in our support portal, we will be uploading the HSN master, so you can download from there. So yeah, there will be find both 4-digit goods HSN code and 5-digit service HSN codes.
Okay, another question is, what is the calculation of transaction rate inclusive of GST or exclusive of GST? See, for your B2B transaction, this transaction rate will be considered as exclusive of GST, and for your B2C transaction, in normal scenario, it is basically inclusive of GST only. But from Ginesys point of view, with this GST patch, we have released a functionality wherein for specific SKUs or all the SKUs, you can have exclusive of GST rates also, so that at the time of post billing, your GST will be charged on the transaction price.
So it is configurable. I mean, a transaction rate could be either inclusive or exclusive based upon whatever configuration we do. And if you find any problem, you can definitely contact support to get help on that.
Okay, another question is how to map two GSTN for two states in single vendor. So basically you have to create two vendors only and you have to map the GSTN numbers. Okay, another question is, I have sold to my customer outside state with IGST. The customer returns the goods in my showroom of the destination state. How the tax will get affected?
There is not a problem in case of B2C sale. We will not check whether what was the original. I mean, I assume that this particular is this question is related to B2C sale. So in case of B2C sale, whatever goods are returned on that state, we will reverse the CGST, IGST. So there will be no problem or no confusion that whether it is sold whether it was sold in another state or not. So we would be reversing GST at the destination state where you will be receiving the goods. So accordingly, we have made the changes. We are not populating charge calculated from different states. We will be calculating as on that state. So this should take care of your problem and should be taken care.
Another question is that I have 5 sites in which includes 3 stores and 2 outright sales site. I want to ask these 2 outright sites will work as a customer and this GST information entered by retail management? Yes. For your franchisee stores, you have to update the GST information through the retail module.
Only one point I'd like to add. In case of COFO model, whereby you have a franchisee, but the store TIN number is yours. In that case, you have to create a TIN number as per in your GST and master and tag that. That means for all consignment stores, the TIN number has to be yours, and for all franchisee stores, the TIN number has to be of franchisees, or on a FOFO model.
Another question is, if any HSN codes are provided by vendor in the invoice or any item, and again the same vendor says another HSN code for the same item in another invoice, which will be applicable in the system and what will be the next process? See, in Ginesys, the HSN code, whatever is being provided by the vendor, has nothing to do with the system process. The Ginesys system will work based upon the HSN coding that you have done at your end. So in case there is scenario where the HSN codes are not matching with the configuration what you have done at your end and what is being provided by the vendor, you have to discuss the same with your vendor and get it corrected as per the law.
So so I'll just clarify one thing, that once the data will be pushed into GSTN server, the matching of invoices will not happen at HSN level. Please understand. So even if the supplier has given wrong HSN, or the supplier has given HSN at maybe 8 digit and you are putting at 4 digit, there is absolutely no problem till the time the tax rate and tax amount is same. That means any matching of invoice will happen at tax amount level. So we need to just see whether the tax rate applicability is right or not. HSN rate is, we are not mandatory to match the HSN code of supplier and as per your. The next question is by Mr. Vidyut Roy. Please shed some light on input credit rules. Which invert supplies are not eligible for input credit? See, I would suggest that you go through the ITC rules, where they have clearly mentioned which are the expenses which we will not get input credit. In a layman terms, I can name few like motor car expenses, conveyance, rent-a-cab, food and beverages, and construction services. So these are few. You can just go through ITC rules and you will find which are the input which we will not get as input credit. Again, next question is by Mr. Devang. Will we rectify wrongly tagged HSN codes? Yes, definitely you can rectify HSN code at item level anytime. There is absolutely no problem. Once you rectify, prospectively it will be applied, not retrospectively. So any transaction which will be done afterwards, after you apply the HSN code, so those transactions will get affected.
Okay, another question is, in detail sale we charge for fall pico blouse and making etc. from customer. We have created a miscellaneous item and charged to that. Please explain how we will do that.
So now this will become very easy after the new GST regime comes, because even goods and services both can be charged at point of sale. So we would request you to create a non-inventory item and apply a service accounting code there, and you can very easily charge any charge, and accordingly your GST charge of that particular service would be applicable. So it will become very easy and seamless going forward after the new GST regime.
Another question, we are doing B2C transaction. Our product is mainly sarees, which was non-taxable in the current system. Now textile is under 5% GST. We cannot change our sales price by adding 5% GST. Can we make invoices on our customer sale price and add GST in the invoice?
So it's a very interesting question by Mr. Sandeep. See, you have to see whether earlier whatever product you had, sarees, whether that were having any MRP or not. GST has got no problem. If you charge extra tax on textiles, so as per GST, you can do very well because it is on transaction price, and we have come up with exclusive GST calculation, right? But if MRP is applicable, then in that case, you have to change your MRP. You have to increase the MRP by tax portion, and then only you can sell. Otherwise, as per MRP Act or the Legal Methodology Act, you will get in trouble. But as per GST, there is absolutely no problem. You can do it, and you can, if there is any question, you can contact support how to apply that.
Another question is, what kind of form required to send interstate or local goods apparel? So from GST, basically this concept of F form for interstate transaction is no more required. Now everything will be like normal process of GST, wherein IGST would be charged in case of interstate, and for local there won't be any taxes.
So at last we got some kind of, simplicity in interstate movements of goods, unless this e-way bill comes again.
Okay, another question is, I have garments closing stock, which price is more than 1,000 rupees per piece. So as per GST, 1st July onwards, I have to charge 12% GST on same value, while I claim only 5% as input VAT. So who will bear the additional tax burden of 7%? Should I revise my MRP list or I get credit for government?
So this question is put by Mr. Ashok, but I think most of us will be having that what will happen to our how to get the input tax credit on our goods. So I think, see, this is a very tricky thing, but as per the current provision that we understand, on 12% items, and in for MRP greater than 1,000, you can get 2.4% tax credit. That is 40% on the CGST part. For that, you have to, there's a trans 1 rule in which you have to give your closing stock information. And once these goods are sold in the next 6 months only, you will get credit. I would suggest that you contact your CA or your GST consultant to apply to get, to populate this trans 1 return. We would be providing any stock report as you require. So we would be helping in that, in generating that report. But you can definitely claim this as a deemed input credit for this difference of 7%. But mind it, this is only 2.4%. It is not 7%. So of course, the difference has to be bear by you if you don't change the MRP. Else you have to change the MRP to nullify this loss. So I think I am able to answer your question, but it's more of a functional question. So I would suggest you to get a proper opinion from the tax consultant to get the nitty-gritties of it.
Okay, another question is, how will discount after sales invoice has been raised will be treated?
See, in any discount, you cannot apply GST after the sales invoice has been raised. You can do it only by way of debit note, credit note, if it is mentioned in the contract itself. If it is not mentioned in the contract, you cannot charge GST or reverse GST after the sales invoice has been raised. It will happen only as a normal accounting transaction without any GST impact. Next question is by Mr. Ravi. This question is related to shoplifting of 10 pieces, who would be paying GST for difference in quantity? As per GST ITC rule, any shortage or any any shoplifting, etc., difference stock adjustment, we need to reverse the ITC credit. But this reversal of ITC credit is not required to be done on transaction basis. So there is a summary level information which we can put it in the GSTR returns. So I would suggest you to obviously in software will give you the summary information that how much stock adjustment has been done as per HSN code. Accordingly, you have to calculate the summary information of input credit, and then you have to reverse that input credit in the GSTR return 2, where ITC reversal section is there separately. And all these things would definitely be covered in Ease My GST return filing process.
There is another question. Please put the HSN code and respective rates in the system from the department database. By that we can select. So I would like to update that GST rates by default we are already populating, and for HSN code, as we suggested, that you can take help from our support team to get the 4-digit HSN codes. So based on that, you can do the configuration at your end.
Next question is by Mr. Pavan. How can we claim SENVET on closing stock as on 30th June 2017? So we will be giving you a report of your closing stock. That report you need to file in GST Trans 1. In Trans 1, there is huge format is required given. As per that format, you have to file it. I would suggest you to discuss with your GST consultant in exact how it will be filed, but we will be giving you an output report. And once that particular stock is been sold, for the next 6 months you will get credit. It's not that you will get credit at one go. You will not get credit at one go. You will get credit only those goods are sold, and those goods has to be sold within the next 6 months.
And the question is whether GST will be calculated on all type of charges at invoice level.
Yes. So please understand, GST would has to be last line item of all your invoices. So whether it is insurance, whether that is freight, everything has to be charged before GST, and GST will be the last charge item. And you have to apply insurance, freight, any charge at the item level, and it will go in the HSN code of the item HSN only as composite supply and not as a separate service. Another interesting question is by Mr. Vidyut. Is the value of which stock transfer made to own store acceptable as transaction value, whether it is 50% of MRP or even less? So, to my knowledge, what I have understood as per rules, and also there was a conference yesterday by Mr. Hasmukh Aditya, Revenue Secretary. In case of inter-branch transfer within same company, you can take any valuation between your cost price and MRP. So it could be your cost price, it could be your open market price or your MRP or your selling price, and it could also be 50% of MRP. I don't think there's any problem in case of valuation rate. That is why what we have to do, you have to apply price rule in our software, and accordingly your inter-transfer, stock transfer valuation will be done. So there's absolutely no problem in stock transfers. There is one question by Mr. Thirunavakasaru. If MRP is more than 1200, GST will be collected from end customer or seller. I actually am not getting it, but yes, if it is inclusive of tax, so you will be collecting from end seller only, I mean end customer only. So maybe I didn't get this question. One second.
There's another question. If I sell apparel goods of rupees 1020, what rate will be charged? 5 or 12? So as per the slab configuration, basically it will be 12% that will be charged as GST on the RSP of 1020.
So what I would suggest, Ankit, and maybe all of us, see, there is a black pricing zone between 1000 and 1050, because between 1000 and 1050, if any price comes which is inclusive of tax, then actually we are making a loss, because if we calculate 12%, so it comes less only, and we could have calculated 5% in this case. So we would suggest you that you don't have any situation, you don't put an MRP which is lies between 1000 and 1050 till more clarity comes, so that we don't have any loss in this. Next question is by Mr. Ashok. Will I get input credit on capital expenditure under GST? Yes. Under GST, all capital goods you can get input, except what I said, real estate or construction you can't get, and motor car you can't get. Rest everything you will get. I will suggest you to go through rule. There it is mentioned very clearly. Next is by Mr. Shankar. Is it compulsory that SSN code to be put on customer bill? Yes, it is compulsory to put at least 4-digit SSN code in customer bill. Few of the questions are repetitive. We are ignoring it, and we are taking only those questions which are new. Next question is by Mr. Ankit Porwal. If we sell a product on 29th June, but customer returned the product on 10th July 2017, how it will affect on tax summary? So what we have done, we will treat whatever returns comes after 1st July for goods sold before GST regime. On those returns, we will be calculating GST itself and not VAT. So we will be treating as inward return in case of B2B returns. In case of B2C returns, as per law, you have to take VAT refund, but for software purposes, for all practical purposes, we will be calculating GST only, so that this VAT refund concept is not required. I hope I was able to clear you. So for all practical purpose, we will be calculating GST only for all returns which are done after 1st July.
Another question is, what can we do? Have old stock according to the previous VAT system? Our profit will be, so this is something which you need to discuss with your tax consultant.
Next question is by Mr. Bijoy. How do we reconcile system data with GST data? We would be having a brief description of Ease My GST portal that we will be discussing right after. There is a question on buy one get one concept. See, we have not done any changes in buy one get one. So currently, even if you give any item as free or 0 rupees, we will be not charging GST on free item, but we would be suggesting that instead of giving get item free, you should charge something, maybe 100 rupees or rupees 1, so that there is no legal problem going forward. Because right now it is not clear, and it is mentioned that if you give anything free or sample, the ITC has to be reversed. So instead of you giving as a free, you should charge something so that there is no complication going forward of this buy one get one scheme. Composition purchase or zero rate purchase, no, reverse charge is not applicable on composition purchase. If we are able to recalculate tax at cost level in case of wrongly taxed GST rates, yes, we would be giving a provision, but it is not released, I believe, now. So it will be then in the subsequent versions.
Another question is that we are dealing in sarees and ready-made garments. In government terms, the HSN codes are provided as per fabric mode like silk, georgette. How we decide our HSN code? Because our product like sari, ghagra, gown are made of multiple type of fabrics. See, again, this is the same question which we have been discussing like from start, that from GSTN point of view, your HSN code matching is required at 4-digit only. After that, so far as the next and so far as the other digit is concerned with respect to 6 and 8-digit, wherein it goes to the fabric level, that is optional. So basically, you can capture the HSN code at 4-digit level and you can configure your product master. Okay, another question is that we are making GRC for packing materials to maintain quantity available and consumption in miscellaneous out. How would you handle this situation and how would you get input credit?
I think I mean, input credit is nothing to do with consumption. So you can make a GRC of packing material and obviously you can take input credit. So there is no problem at all in that. Question is from Mr. Suresh. Shall we having ready-made formats of trans 1, trans 2? No, right now we have not developed trans 1, trans 2. So we have developed or GST or 1, 2, 3 that we have done through Age My GST. But yes, we'll look forward how trans 1, trans 2 could be automated. Next question is by Mr. Bijoy. If any goods is sent within June, but the goods is reached in July, what will happen? So if any goods in transit, in which VAT is applied and it is received in July, in those goods, GST will not be charged. But to claim input tax credit on those goods, you have to book the invoice and then you have to put that input tax credit in trans 1. So we would suggest you not to have any goods in transit as on 30th June. It will make your life easy. If you try to have goods in transit, I mean, if you receive those kind of goods, there's no problem as per current system.
Okay, another question is we need to buy several small items from market for manufacturing garments, and seller of these items often do not issue invoice and they give by kacha slips. So how to help this? See, from GST law point of view, against these purchases, you have to book a reverse charge, and based on that, you have to pay GST to the government. There is no kacha slip or without invoice kind of purchases that can be booked in the system.
See, please understand one thing, which is the most important into GST. There can't be any expense or any booking of service or any purchases on which GST is not there. So even if you buy 5 rupees of item, maybe you buy tea, coffee also, any refreshment, repairs and maintenance, anything, any goods, any services. If there is no pakka invoice which is having GST, then you have to apply reverse GST. There is absolutely no other option.
Okay, another question is GST return can be prepared through Ginesys software? So we will come answering this question later on through our Is My GST session. Okay, another question is in webinar inform us that footwear GST will be applicable on RSP, and if I sell any product of rupees 2000 and applicable GST rate is 18% included in MRP and I sell it on 50%, then which GST amount will be charged? See, so far as GST rule is concerned, your tax rate will be picked based upon your RSP configuration, but the calculation will happen on the transaction value. So for given the example, it will be calculated on the discounted price, but tax rate will pick as per your RSP configuration.
So we'll be taking only one or two questions because we are running out of time. We have to cover a few things more. One question is related to advance given to job workers. So any advance that you give to job workers, GST is not applicable. If anything you receive from any customer, then only GST is applicable. So maybe I am able to answer this.
Okay, one more question. This is like, please share master configuration related to GST. I have missed that part. So we would like to inform that this is a recorded webinar, and we will be sharing the recorded link to you soon, so that you can go through the webinar details again.
So the last question is by Mr. Gauri Shankar. How will we book the reverse charge for any kacha slip without creating a vendor master? No, there is no option to create a reverse GST without creating a vendor. You have to create a vendor. If you feel that you don't want to create small service invoices or purchase invoices, so you can accumulate that, you can submit on a daily basis, and then maybe create one invoice for all your purchase. But definitely you have to create vendor master for booking any kind of reverse GST. So thank you all for your passion sharing. So now we will be going forward into a brief introduction of what is my GST and about how the return filing process will happen. As we all know, under the new GST regime, return filing is one of the key aspects of the entire GST compliance. And all your tax credit, whatever tax credit you will get as an input, you will only get if whatever invoices you have received from your vendors, that is getting matched in the GST portal. So we would like to, we are proud to say that we have come up with our own Is My GST return compliance portal. And I would be just showing you what is My GST and what will happen there. So, and if you have any questions regarding Is My GST, you can put it after the end of this presentation. I will not take a lot of time. I will make it short, and maybe you will understand gradually once we will have a separate session altogether on Is My GST. So let me have only introduction as on today. So I believe this screen is visible, ismygst.com. So if you can just get a ping whether it is visible or not. So once you type ismygst.com, you will come up to this home page. I would suggest you can just go through ismygst.com and you will see the home page. Once you scroll down the home page, you will see all the details what this site will do. So I would request you to go through the home page of the site, and maybe you will get everything what you require, that how return filing process will be done. What we have created a GST return filing demo also in the home page. I've just run that video demo. You can do it in your screens only, and you will find the entire return filing process demo is there in the easemygst.com. I would suggest all of you to go through this demo, and all your questions like how this easemygst will work, how the data will be populated, everything would be answered here. So I would suggest you to go through it, and it will have entire process, how this matchmaking is done, how invoices are uploaded. So everything is there. So I'm not going in much detail about the entire process. I will request you to go through the video and you'll understand that. But what I would like to say right now is what should we do now? So currently the return filing process will start from 15th of July. So 15th of July, your GSTR 1 invoice uploading process will start. But before that, what we should do, I will show through easemygst portal login. So we will log into easemygst portal. So right now the sign up is free. You can log into easemygst by signing in. I'll just show a login. So after you create a easemygst login, you should add all your TINs here. Adding a TIN is very simple. You just click add TIN, give your TIN number, whatever you have got. And the username which is given as per your GSTN portal. You must have got a username as per GST while doing a migration. You can skip the OTP process right now. This OTP you will get once you start filing the return after 15th July and uploading the invoice. You create the legal name. And the TIN will be created. So we see that adding TIN is very simple. It will take only 5 seconds to add the TIN. And you can add as many TIN, whatever TIN you have as per state, you can add those TINs. Once you add your TIN, then what you should do is you should add your vendor and customer master. Now, see, the idea of easemygst portal is not only that it will be a return compliance portal. We are making this portal as a de facto portal for all your vendors and customers. And we will be making it as a vendor portal and a customer portal, whereby your vendors can also log into easemygst, file the invoices, whatever invoices you are putting it in easemygst, those could be accessed by your customers, And as well, you can treat it as your vendor customer portal. Apart from your invoice information, other informations also would come here as we develop this portal. So right now, what you should do, you should add your vendors. I'll just show you a sample how I have added a vendor. And it is very simple. You can download the template. So there's a template option. You can download it. And once you download the template, it has giving all the columns. You put these columns and you upload it. The moment you upload it, all your vendors will get an email request from your behalf requesting them to update the TIN number. See, the moment the 1st July comes, you have to have TIN numbers of all your customers and vendors. So what Ease My GST will do, it will send an email to all your customers and vendors requesting them to update their GST number. And once they get the GST number, it will be shown here as the vendor GST number. And this you can use in all your invoices, be it inward and outward. So I would suggest that you add your customer and vendors so that you get the GST and details of those customer and vendors through Ease My GST portal. One more thing I would like to add, that in case you have got some vendors, some job workers or some small vendors who are not able to generate GST invoice, so we will be giving them an invoice generation utility also in Ease My GST, whereby all your vendors who are not having a GST compliant software can generate GST invoice using an Ease My GST portal, and those invoices will come to you in your login automatically. So I would suggest to use this portal extensively so that all your vendors are GST compliant, and once all the PIN details are added by your customers and vendor, and you start generating invoice from 1st July seamlessly. Because mind it is not that only you are ready so that you are able to do business. Your vendors and customer has to be get ready on 1st of July. And for that only we have created this ecosystem so that all the process becomes very easy. And after 1st July, you will see this invoice upload process will get started under this team. So right now, if you click on TIN number, it will be showing that it will be available on after 30th June, and this would be seamlessly integrated with Ginesys. So everything will be automated here. You need not have to do anything. Everything will be pulled from the Ginesys, and all your return filing process, everything will be smooth. Every matchmaking, everything will get automated. So there will be alerts, notifications. If there is a mismatch, automatic email will go to vendors. We have tried to make the entire process as easy and as seamless for you, and you need not have to worry about how this matchmaking thing will happen. This is the brief introduction I wanted to give on Ease My GST. If you have any questions to Ease My GST, you can put it, and maybe we can take. We have got around 7-8 minutes, so we can take it. So. One sec, let me check. One more thing, in Ease My GST website only you will get all the details. So if you have any problem, any question, you can put it at info@easemygst.com. So you will get answer anything related to GST compliance there. I have got one question which is related to some functional question by Mr. Ravi. Can we accept goods on challan in case of shop in shop or SIS as they provide bills after 15 days selling? I think yes, there is an option of sale on approval under GST. So I think you can accept challan, goods on challan. So I would suggest you to go through this GST rules. I'm not exactly sure, but I think there is a provision of sending goods on approval, but there's a time limit that within that we have to file sales within 6 months or something. We have to file sales. There's another question by Mr. Anil Yadav. Does we require separate registration for TDS deduction? I'm not sure what is exactly the question, but TDS is same as per previous regime. So there is no change whatsoever in TDS calculation. So there's a similar question by Mr. Raghu. If there is any consignment purchase option is there. So yeah, consignment. See, there is a concept of sale on approval. So
within the same state.
So that is there in the, I think within same state. So I would suggest you to go through the rule. But yes, in software it is there. I mean, we have not changed anything related to consignment. So you can definitely do in software as you were doing earlier. So there is no problem at all. One more question is by Mr. Suresh Kumar. Is there any specific format for SI or it may be any formats? I think you're asking about format for sales invoice. No, there is no specific format for any sales invoice. There are around 16 mandatory columns, and which could be in there in sales invoice, and you can contact support for any kind of requirement related to this.
So basically we are into like 3 more minutes for this webinar, which is going to be closed. So we thank you for your time. So now I would like to hand over to Siddharth.
So I'll just answer 1 or 2 questions. So maybe we'll close it up. There's a question about how we can integrate Tally ERP with Ease My GST. Yes, we would be integrating Ease My GST with other software also. So so that, I mean, whatever, I mean, if you are using Tally, or maybe your vendors, or maybe anybody is using any other software, so we'll be integrating with all the software. So there should not be any problem in that. And if even it is not integrated with any software, there is a utility for Excel import. So you can do it through Excel import also. I mean, your invoice upload. So I'll be taking last question by Mr. Bijoy. How to create invoice under reverse charge? So that would be automatically created. So once you create and purchase invoice under reverse charge, so we would be generating automatically outward invoice and populating into Ease My GST portal. So there's no problem at all. So thank you all. Thank you for your patient hearing. And I will now hand over to Siddharth. Thanks.
Thanks everyone for joining us today. I hope this session was fruitful to you. Please ensure that you contact your account managers or support team for ensuring this update before 1st July. I'll suggest do it immediately so that you get GST compliant, and this will ensure that from 1st July onwards, proper sales invoices gets generated from your system. For any further queries, please contact Ginesys support. Thanks again for joining us today. We are ending this session now.